I thought our marriage was a fairy tale. Nathan was the love of my life, my rock, my everything. We built a beautiful life together, a home filled with laughter and dreams for the future. I trusted him completely, with every fiber of my being. That trust was the foundation of our world, and I never once imagined it could crumble, but it did. It shattered into a million pieces the day I saw the message on his phone. It wasn't meant for me. It was a love note, filled with inside jokes and secret plans, addressed to someone named Clara. My world tilted on its axis. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic bird trapped in a cage. I couldn't breathe. This couldn't be my Nathan, the man who kissed me goodbye every morning and told me he loved me every night. I confronted him, my voice shaking, the phone feeling like a lead weight in my hand. At first, he denied it. He called me crazy, paranoid. But the evidence was undeniable, and the lies crumbled, revealing an ugly truth he'd been hiding for months. He had been seeing Clara, a colleague from his office. He swore it was a mistake, a meaningless fling. He begged for my forgiveness, tears streaming down his face, painting him as the victim of a moment of weakness. He promised it would never happen again. A part of me, the part that still loved the man I thought he was, wanted to believe him. I wanted to rewind time, to erase that message, to go back to the blissful ignorance of the day before. He expected me to forgive him. He expected us to go to therapy, to work through it, to put his betrayal behind us and move on. After all, that's what a good wife does, right? She forgives. She forgets. She keeps the family together. But as I looked at him, all I saw was a stranger. The man I loved wouldn't have looked me in the eye and lied for months. He wouldn't have shattered my trust and then expected me to clean up the mess. Something inside me shifted. It wasn't anger, not yet. It was a cold, quiet clarity. Forgiveness wasn't a debt I owed him. It was a gift, and he hadn't earned it. I told him I needed space, time to think. He readily agreed, probably thinking a few days apart would be enough for me to come to my senses and welcome him back with open arms. He packed a bag and went to stay with a friend, leaving me alone in our big empty house that now felt more like a museum of our broken promises. That first night alone was the hardest. Every corner of the house held a memory, now tainted by his betrayal. The silence was deafening. I cried until I had no tears left. But then, as the sun rose on a new day, the cold clarity returned, stronger this time. I wasn't just going to sit around and wait for my heart to heal. I was going to take control of my life. I started by doing something I hadn't done in years. I called a lawyer. Not for a divorce, not yet. Just for information. I needed to know my rights, my options. Knowledge was power, and I felt powerless. The lawyer, a sharp and empathetic woman named Miss Davis, laid out everything for me. We went over our finances, our assets, everything Nathan and I had built together. It turned out our finances were more intertwined than I realized. Nathan handled most of it, and I had trusted him to be fair. Miss Davis advised me to start separating my finances immediately and to document everything. So I did. I opened a new bank account. I started looking at our joint investments, things I'd barely paid attention to before. And as I dug deeper, I found more than just a cheating husband. I found financial secrets. Small, unexplained withdrawals. Credit card statements sent to his office instead of our home. It wasn't just an emotional betrayal. It was a financial one too. He'd been using our shared money to fund his secret life with Clara. The fancy dinners, the weekend trips he told me were for work conferences, it was all there in black and white. The anger I'd been suppressing finally erupted. How dare he? He didn't just break my heart. He stole from our future. He stole from me. That's when my plan began to form. It wasn't about revenge, not in a malicious way. It was about justice. It was about reclaiming what was mine. Nathan thought I was at home, weeping and waiting for him. He'd call every day, his voice syrupy sweet, asking how I was, telling me how much he missed me. I played the part of the heartbroken but forgiving wife. I told him I was thinking, that I was trying to find a way to move forward. This gave him a false sense of security. He believed he was in control. He believed he was going to get away with it. He had no idea I was meeting with financial advisors, transferring assets, and securing my own future, brick by brick. The biggest asset we owned was our beautiful home. It was my dream house, the one I'd poured my heart and soul into decorating. It was also in both of our names, but I found a loophole. A few years ago, we had refinanced, and during that process, I had contributed a significant amount from an inheritance my grandmother left me. My lawyer confirmed that this gave me a much stronger claim to the house. While Nathan was busy whining and dining Clara, I was preparing to take back my life. I also started therapy, not to fix our marriage, but to fix myself. I needed to rediscover the woman I was before I became Nathan's wife. I reconnected with old friends, took up painting again, and started going to the gym. With every brushstroke, with every mile I ran, I felt stronger, more like myself. About a month later, Nathan called me, his voice confident. He said he'd given me enough space and it was time for him to come home. He was ready to start rebuilding. That was my cue. I agreed. I told him to come over that evening so we could talk. I spent the day preparing. Not a reconciliation dinner, but an eviction. I packed all of his belongings into boxes. His expensive suits, his golf clubs, his precious collection of whiskey. I stacked them neatly in the foyer. When he walked through the door, he was smiling, holding a bouquet of roses. The smile vanished when he saw the boxes. "What's this?" he asked, his voice laced with confusion. "Is this some kind of joke?" "It's no joke, Nathan," I said, my voice steady, betraying none of the nerves I felt. "This is you moving out." His face went from confusion to disbelief, then to anger. "Rosalind, stop this. We agreed we were going to work on it," he yelled. "No, Nathan," I corrected him calmly. "You decided we were going to work on it. I decided I deserved better. I then laid it all out for him. The financial infidelity. The lies." I handed him a folder prepared by my lawyer, detailing my intent to file for divorce, and my claim on the house, and a significant portion of our assets, backed by the evidence of his financial misconduct. He was stunned into silence. He never saw it coming. He genuinely believed his apologies were enough. He thought my love for him was a weakness he could exploit forever. He tried to fight it, of course. He hired his own lawyer. He tried to paint me as vindictive and unstable, but the evidence was clear. His affair, combined with his financial deceit, left him with very little legal ground to stand on. While the lawyers battled it out, something else happened. Karma, as it turns out, has a funny way of working. Clara, the other woman, eventually found out that Nathan wasn't the wealthy, successful man he pretended to be. When she realized his access to our joint funds was cut off and he was about to lose the house, she dropped him. Suddenly the love of his life was gone, and he was left with nothing. He lost his wife, his mistress, and a significant portion of his wealth. Months later, the divorce was finalized. I got the house and a settlement that secured my financial independence. It wasn't a win in the way people might think. There's no winning when a marriage ends. But it was justice. It was the start of my new chapter. I sold the house. It held too many memories, both good and bad. I bought a smaller place for myself, a sanctuary that was all mine. I invested in my art, and what started as a hobby is now a small but growing business. I found peace, not in forgiving him, but in forgiving myself for trusting someone who didn't deserve it. Nathan, I heard, had to move into a small apartment and is struggling to rebuild his life. He tried to reach out a few times, sending apologetic emails. I never replied. His chapter in my life is closed. Sometimes, forgiveness isn't the answer. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is to let go and let karma and a good lawyer handle the rest. My story isn't about revenge, it's about self-respect. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to let anyone diminish it. It's about understanding that sometimes the end of a fairy tale is the beginning of your own much better story. Thank you for listening. If you're going through something similar, remember your strength and know you're not alone. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.